Hello and welcome to another episode of Keep It Moving Podcast. I am your host, Novelty. Joining me today is Mike B.
What do you do?
How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good.
That's good to hear. I feel a lot better about this week's episode versus last week when we tried to record and you were all over. I'm blaming you. You were all over the place. You didn't have any energy.
I was not alone in that show, if I remember. And
you probably were. I'm just saying. I didn't feel like Mike B showed up. Oh no! I sent my representative.
Because a few times I remember talking to Mike B and hearing crickets.
Yeah, and you know why? Because you offended me.
You were beautiful,
and you offended me.
Because you're beautiful,
and you offended me.
Tell the people about your grandma. Because you did tell a story about your grandma last week.
I don't remember that story. So
you don't remember your grandma making you the bacon? Or not wanting to make you the bacon because you didn't want it in the grease? Or no, it was the eggs in the bacon grease.
Yeah, let's not tell that story. It has to happen when it's fresh. That's when, it comes out and I can channel my inner granny because
your inner granny.
Yeah, she's off the chain though. I enjoy when I go and visit her. She is always something, and she used to say, "You should record, our conversations because we could be rich." I said, "Yeah, you right."
You know what?
Little did she know, I come back and tell her story.
But no, you should record your conversations with her.
If she saw me recording our conversation or found out that I was recording our conversation, that'll be the last of me. Even though she says it.
No, not for that. Not to share with the world, but just for yourself.
I every time I come on the show, I share our stories.
No, you can share your stories, but share the recording. The recording is for you. Because one day she won't be with you, and you I've got recordings of conversations I've recorded with my grandmother, but now normally they're like history, family history. I record those so I can remember them as I'm trying to transcript them.
Yeah, because you're the keeper of the books. I know. I remember we used to say that, not really realizing that you were actually
yes, I am the keeper of the books.
Keeper of the books.
And my mother has finally put that task on me. So yes, I am.
That makes you sound so ancient.
No, you make me sound ancient.
We're gonna be reading about you.
Otherwise, it makes me sound responsible.
Understandable, but I can't wait to read about novelty in the history books. I'm excited about that because you somebody. You are somebody.
Everybody's somebody to somebody.
You somebody special.
Somebody special to somebody.
No, I know somebody who ain't special to nobody.
Who?
But his kids.
You?
No, 40-5. Excuse me, we ain't talking about him. I ain't talking about him.
Now,
I'm moving on.
I didn't put us on him. Y'all, it wasn't on me this time.
Can we get into the Black Achievements and Excellence Honoree of the Week?
Who is it?
It is the same from last week. You guys didn't hear about it, so we're going to talk about it again. Jelani Jones from Fredericksburg, Virginia, 9 years old, runs her own business. And it's like, how can you be 9 years old, have the mindset to own your own business? It ain't a lemonade stand. It ain't something like that. She ain't selling baking cookies. She took a class in school making fizzy bath bombs and was like, you know what? I can do this myself and make my own stuff. And so she has a business selling bath products. And I'm thinking, what was I doing? I probably was outside playing kickball.
At what age?
9 years old. I wasn't doing anything. I was making good grades in school, but I wasn't doing shit productive. I wasn't thinking about a business plan. I wasn't thinking about anything making money.
I was probably
I was selling candy.
14.
Well, I wasn't selling candy at 9. In middle school, I was selling, going to the corner store, buying candy, and then selling it at school for a higher price. But that was it. That was my hustle. But she sounds like she got it going on. Not only does she has her own business, she's a straight A student in school. She even helps do her own taxes. She's learned how to write a business plan and determine the pricing for her products. So, 9 years old.
She's going to be rich.
She's going to be rich. She's going to be a millionaire.
And I think she would be doing okay if she was just doing business. But the fact that she is determining her prices at 9, she is working on her taxes at 9, she's going to understand things that most adults don't understand by the time she's 13 years old.
Because she's involved in the business. She's
involved in her business and she knows her money.
That's what it's all about.
There you go.
So shout out to Mrs. Jelani, 9 years old, Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Woohoo!
This week, you almost busted my ears. This week, we honor you.
All right. Well, and then unfortunately, that means we need to roll into what is happening in the news. So just to kind of give you a heads up, some of the things we talked about last week was Chicago's new school plan. They are thinking about holding back diplomas,
high school diplomas,
if you cannot provide a plan.
Like college, you're going to college, you got a job lined up,
and not just your idea of a plan, a literal plan in writing. You got a job lined up, here's your offer letter. You got going to college, here's your acceptance letter. You know, those type of an actual plan, something
that's tangible, not just something you thought of.
Mitch McConnell, he says if the Republicans can't agree on a health care plan, then they may have to repair Obamacare. Something they should have been doing in the first place.
That should have been step one. We
wouldn't be in all of this mess.
Yeah.
And then California's mayor wants to pay criminals not to shoot their guns. You think about that. You contemplate on that. And if you live in California, you might need to make sure it's not your mayor. And if it is, you need to go down to City Hall. And then, of course, the main thing that has happened this week, it has dominated the news. Junior released his email.
45 Junior.
Yeah, 45 Junior. I don't know. They call him now I can't even think of the name that they calling him on The View, but stupid is the only name I could think of, especially after releasing these emails and acting like they get him out of trouble and not put him in trouble.
Well, I mean, if your father is 45 and you have the support that he has, then it may get you out of trouble because so many people don't even care what the media are saying. They're not they still look at it as fake news. So
Fuego,
even though
that's what they call him, Fuego.
What does that mean?
Hell if I know. It's stupid.
Okay. Go ahead.
But no, that's it. Just he releases these emails and he thinks that, hey, I'm free. I can do what I want to do. I didn't do anything wrong.
But the emails are outlining, I guess, a meeting that he had with someone tied to Russia that was promising or saying that they had information that they could use to help. That was against Hillary Clinton that could possibly help his father, which in layman's term or to other people say they possibly had information, that they could collude with 45 in order to get him elected and be against Hillary Clinton. But then when you're asked if Russia has any involvement, is there any contact with Russia? Everybody on the damn campaign in his administration is saying that's so far-fetched. Russia is fake news. Why do you guys keep bringing this up? And then time after time after time, we keep
bumping into Russia
and proving that everybody, it seems like there's nobody with clean hands in this administration that hasn't had contact with Russia. They have to go back and say, oh, you know what? I forgot all about that. It was, minuscule. It meant nothing, so I didn't even think about it. And that's how they're trying to excuse it away. And the only reason he released his emails was because I think it was either the New York Post or the New York Times. They got their hands on the emails. And so he thought he would, he would release them before they could in order to kind of steal their thunder. And then 45 is saying that
it was to seem like I was being transparent.
That's not being transparent. Being transparent you would have revealed this information before anybody asked you about it or anybody told you that they had that information. So you were just trying to steal their thunder and then make yourself look good in the interim. That's not how it works. That's not transparency. You got caught and you decided to try and, put it out there before they could. It's bull crap. But that's the only way to describe this administration, period. Bull crap.
Well, like I said, this is what we've been talking about all week long. You know what else happened this week?
What?
Congress passed 375 bills from the
House
7th through the 14th.
Oh, 7 days.
7 days. 375 bills. Now, I'm not going to tell you what those bills are. Go to congress.gov and read them. They're all there. Some of them are transferring land from the government to private entities for mining and stuff like that. 375 bills just got passed while these fools were releasing these emails.
Well, everything they do is, as a distraction, but that doesn't mean it's not important.
No, it's a very important distraction.
It's important to know what they're doing as well, but also what's going on in the background.
This is a very important distraction. I don't want to take any thunder away from that. But 375 bills have been passed, and not one of them have been discussed on any news media outlet.
Now they are the Republicans did try to come up with another version of Trump Care, so that's been discussed this week. Not quite sure if the Congressional Business Office
CBO hasn't done anything on it yet.
On this one, so
we'll see.
But from the Democrats and also from insurance companies, like it don't really seem too positive.
Well, and a lot of Republicans are just, too many Republicans at this point are coming out against the healthcare changes. And I think that's because their constituents are
making those phone calls and letting their voice be heard.
The reality,
we ain't with this shit.
Reality right now is the Democrats have very little power. It's not much they can do. So if you fussing at Democrats talking about do something, you need to make sure you vote in 2018 and so they can. But it's Republicans right now that are stepping up and saying, no, wait a minute, that's my health care. No, you can't kick all of these people out of the country. No, you can't ban people from coming into this country. Yeah, Republicans are making noise. And I'm so proud of those Republicans that stand for the values of this country and not just stand along with party.
And then I hope that they're not just doing it, to be vocal in public, but then in the background doing their own little thing, which is that's one of the things that I fear. Because it's easy, that's the reason they don't want to have these town hall meetings with their constituents, because they don't want to be fussed at. They don't want to hear the truth of what their actions are doing to their people. And so in the face of their people, they can say anything. But when it comes down to the vote, a lot of people won't even know the way that they voted. Well, when it comes down to the vote, that's what's important. Like, you can say that you're going to be against it all you want to, but when it comes time to cast your ballot, then I want to make sure that you do what you said you were going to do for us.
Congress.gov, you can make sure their names are attached to. It'll tell you who all went yay and who all went nay on a bill. Congress.gov. So just keep that in mind. 375 bills while all of this has been going on. So anyway, let's move on.
Have you ever, participated or used like a Couchsurfing service or Airbnb or anything like that?
No, because I ain't staying in nobody's house. To me, that's kind of like Uber, riding in somebody's car you don't know, staying in somebody's house I don't know. No.
Well, if you do a cab or a taxi, that's riding in somebody's car you don't know.
I don't do cabs.
Oh, what'd you do?
you drive my
car. It's a safer mode of transportation for people who are out, don't want to drive, or in some places where parking is a big concern.
Okay, if under circumstances where I really can't drive myself for whatever reason, I would do a taxi.
You know how you always hurt or in a hospital or walking with a cane. You have had issues this year.
Anyway, I'm not even going to give you that one. So, I would do a taxi because taxis are in with the city and they have to be licensed and they are followed and all kind of other stuff. There's a lot of security with taxis, but Uber, no.
Yeah, especially when we've been hearing like more and more regarding Uber, even though Uber ain't what we're about to talk about. Oh. But even though more and more with Uber, we've been hearing like horror stories with like the Uber drivers or even the Uber drivers being attacked. But then
Uber drivers attacked, Uber drivers doing stuff to people.
Yeah, trying to cheat and get over on people. I remember seeing a video of a lady who was threatening to, say that the Uber driver raped her if he doesn't do, I don't even remember what she wanted him to do, but he was recording the whole conversation. And it's like, it shouldn't even have to come to this. I wouldn't put myself in that position if I didn't have to, but I know it's like easy money. And if you have a decent car, why not? I don't have the time because you still have to deal with people. And that's, I don't have time for people.
That's
anyway,
the problem.
A confrontation over checkout time turned violent after an Airbnb host allegedly pushed a woman down a flight of stairs in Amsterdam.
Dang.
I know I'm going to butcher this name, but it says Sibali Nkumbi. That's I'm sorry.
Was she the fallee or the pusher?
Simbali Nkumbi was traveling with two other women from South Africa, as well as an artist, and they stayed at this Airbnb in Amsterdam. And the host, there was a video. I saw the video. It was a 34-second video. It shows Nkumbi appears to tell the host, don't be emotional, and asks why he is throwing her things around. You see him throwing her stuff, and you see there's a person behind the host. It was like a white guy behind, and she's, South African. He's behind her, and then he's like pushing her towards the steps. And then somebody behind him was recording the whole incident. Next thing we know, once they got to the step, I think we saw her go down maybe 1 or 2 steps. And then next thing we see her body just sliding face first down the steps.
Oh, dang.
And it's like, are you freaking kidding me? And I thought the host was going to run down and be like, you know what, I'm sorry, like, are you okay or whatever? He's still yelling like, get the hell out of my place. It's the craziest thing. Like, I don't understand why those women, this is my thought, those women should have banded together, because we saw one rush from outside. I guess they were taking their stuff, to the car or the cab or whatever. Someone rushed from outside to check on her. Like I said, another one was behind him recording, and they all came downstairs. I would have banded together and beat the shit out of this guy. I know it's frowned upon, but what he did, well, allegedly, was definitely.
Did you
I
see
saw
it?
You didn't really see him push her, but you saw he's like aggressively behind her, and it would make sense that he pushed. You just couldn't see his hands.
Okay.
But the way she fell down the steps, it seemed like he pushed her, or she lost her balance because he was all up on her. Either way, in my opinion, he was at fault. And it wasn't right. All because I guess they supposed to be, checking out a little bit earlier. They were apologetic for being late, but he didn't care. Like, get out. And I think at one point he was saying, this ain't Africa. Like, you're not a queen here or something like that. Talking mad shit, basically making it racial, in my opinion. And then doing what Trump supporters do. I don't know if he supports Trump, but that was my first thought. Like, definitely 45 supporter.
We wouldn't have banded together to beat him.
But she was unconscious.
So
the lady that was fell down the steps, she
was unconscious.
She said she woke up in the hospital.
Oh,
we didn't see her moving.
I would need to wake up in the hospital, and if I didn't wake up in the hospital, if I woke up, I'd have acted like everything hurt, everything broke, everything got sprained. They'd have been taking me to the hospital, and I'd be suing him for whatever little B&B he got in Amsterdam, and I'd sell it to the person who just wanted to smoke in it.
Now it's the smokehouse. It's ridiculous how crazy times are, and then times have been crazy for a long time. But the fact that we could see it easily, everybody has a camera, everybody's showing these different incidents where race is a factor, where people are showing their true colors and letting you know they don't give a shit about you. And then what bothers me, like I said, that the women didn't like band together and like cuss his ass out or try to fight him or whatever, protect their friend. It's like we keep allowing it to happen towards us and nothing happens to the people that do. Well, I guess legally stuff might happen. I think he was probably kicked off of Airbnb. His house can't be a host anymore.
He wouldn't have no house.
Exactly. I would have burned that bitch down. But that's
that's frowned upon too. I'd have taken it legally, but he wouldn't have no house.
You would have sued
like
for his house.
I'd have got that house, and it'd be a smokehouse today.
I would have burned it down, but that's just me. But also
You'd
another
really made it a smokehouse.
Yeah, it would have been smoking all right. Another Airbnb incident happened in February in California. We had this law student, UCLA law student, Dine Sue. Her and her friends, her fiance and 2 friends, were supposed to be going and renting this Airbnb cabin in Big Bear, California. She decides to reach out. They were minutes away. She decides to reach out to the host like, hey, making sure everything is okay. And the host responded. The host's name was Tammy Barker. She said, I wouldn't rent to you if you were the last person on earth. And it's like, what in the hell is going on? We're already here. And I think they were saying like it was flash flood warnings or whatever. They were trying to get away. It's flash flood warning. So we're risking our lives trying to get and relax, law school. And I guess maybe she asked why. And she got a reply saying one word says it all: Asian. So evidently Miss Tammy Barker feels some type of way about Asian people, and not just Asian people.
Barker white?
Does that need to even be asked? But what's her name? Dine Sue, the student, she goes on to say, I will report you to Airbnb that you are a racist. And Tammy, of course, says, go ahead. It's why we have Trump. I will not allow this country to be told what to do by foreigners.
Did she realize she's a foreigner too?
Tammy?
Yes.
Of course. Do any of them realize that? They believe that they were the first people here. America is theirs. And that's why they treat everybody else as if They're shit. They're the superior being. Of course she doesn't realize that, nor does she care. Because she's empowered and she's emboldened by this asshole that's in the highest seat.
I will never
the
understand how you can. I will never understand how you can just hate or even dislike somebody off of the simple color of their skin. I don't get that.
Well, I feel like it's taught. We know that it's taught.
Yeah, but I even knowing what I know, I still don't get it.
I feel like, and it's not just white people, because black people who experienced it, they feel the same way. But it's because they experienced it. And it's not the fact that they were taught, we are taught what racism is in order to, look out for it and be aware of it. But to have to go through it and being treated like you're less than simply because you are darker complected or the color of your skin doesn't make any sense. And it's hard for normal people to fathom. But even with a lot of white people that aren't, I wouldn't consider them racist. They're still a part of them, and it may be because of what they were taught or something that they learned. You can still hear in there some of the things that they say, kind of like a superiority complex.
That's the privilege, and I think it's not necessarily just taught. It is ingrained in our society because it's ingrained in our justice system. It's ingrained in look at our cartoons, from cartoons, television, Sesame Street and all of that. And yeah, Sesame Street tries very, very hard to make sure they are all inclusive of everyone. But I mean, even still, it's easy for little white kids to see beauty. It's very difficult for kids of any other ethnicity in this country to see beauty in themselves because they don't see it that often on television. They don't see it that often on the big screen,
the magazines, the billboards, or
out
anywhere
when they're doing all the little things on ice and where little kids go. So I can.
But that's
that
why
privilege, I understand how it's taught, but at some point, I don't understand how you can't see what's in front of you. Yeah, okay, this is what's been going on throughout my whole life, but this is somebody I don't know. So how can I just make assumptions and assume and be mean to this person?
Good question.
That's the part. I mean, I can understand being raised to believe that you're superior, but once you talk to somebody, how can you just automatically say, I don't like you because of your color?
You shouldn't say that, especially when you know better.
Right, but I mean, and that's what gets me. But they still do. Some of them, let me not say that. Some of them still do. It's like you don't know anything about me, but you just made a decision simply based on the color of my skin. I'm not going to rent to you because you're Asian.
That's what she said.
I wouldn't pay for you to rent to me because you stupid.
Well, of course, Airbnb canceled her hosting situation as well. But it's still infuriating because people like this out here still exist. And they have, you see what her excuse was. That's why we got Trump. That's who she's accrediting to the reason she can treat people and say the shit that she can say, because he's getting away with saying the shit that he says and nobody's holding him accountable.
You're right
so
about
why
that.
would anybody else feel like they're going to be be punished?
He's the excuse for not all the racism. He's the excuse for people being as nasty as they are, just letting it all hang out. He's the excuse. Yeah. He's the reason.
Anyway, let's switch over to Tulsa for just a moment. And this is like a follow-up. I believe we talked about the whole Terrence Crutcher situation and the officer, Betty Shelby, the lady. He was the one whose car broke down in the middle of the road.
Hands up.
Hands up. And then she feared for her life, shot him. Her husband was in the helicopter, saying looked like a bad dude just because he's a big black guy. But anyway, she was acquitted. Of course. Grand jury didn't charge her with anything. But here recently, within the past couple of days, she decided to put in her resignation. And she goes on to say, what did she say? Since being reinstated, I have found that sitting behind the desk, isolated from all of my fellow officers and the citizens of Tulsa, is just not for me. And I'm thinking they are trying to save the other citizens of Tulsa.
Well, no, I think they're trying to save her butt too.
Or I don't even care about her. I don't give a shit about her.
I understand.
I'm concerned about the other people that live in Tulsa that she might find fearful or, she's afraid of and decides to shoot again.
Right.
Because evidently she can't use her common sense and her judgment and discernment in order to tell whether a situation is bad or not. So I don't give a shit about her. I don't care about her resigning. She should have been charged, in my opinion. But of course, this is the injustice system in America. So I guess this is the best we're going to get, her resigning. Because she doesn't need, I'm sure she's going to get another job holding a gun.
It's not insecure.
She's going to holding a gun because that's what she wants to do.
She'll probably get a job in a high school.
Shooting at kids. But yeah. Anyway, I had another Tulsa story. And this one just came across recently, but it happened back in 2014. And I just want to share some of the details of the story with you to see if you think it's as crazy as I believe it is.
Okay.
And it's dealing with another officer in Tulsa. This officer is named Shannon Kepler. He was a rookie. It was 2004. Him and his wife ended up putting their daughter out. I guess she used to sneak out the house all the time. So they put her out and took her to a homeless shelter, which, like I said, if it sounds as crazy to you as it sounds to me. So just bear with me.
Okay.
Their daughter, she was 18 years old. She ended up meeting this 19-year-old guy named Jeremy Lake. He was a black guy. Of course, the daughter was white. And 19-year-old Jeremy Lake decided to allow their daughter to stay with him because she was staying in the homeless shelter. And he's like, it's crazy in there. And when you're, your age, you're like shark bait.
Right.
Once the father found out that the daughter was staying with this guy, I don't know how he found out where they were, but they were at some little under a bridge or something, passing out water and food. Mm-hmm. And so he goes, he talks to her for a little while, and I guess meets Jeremy. And the daughter, I guess she didn't want anything to do with the father, but at one point she was walking away. Next thing she knows, her father has pulled out his gun, the officer, and shot the young man and killed him.
The father is an officer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, he was a rookie cop. The daughter was 18. Jeremy was 19. Now, the aunt of the young man that was killed, Jeremy, said that he was just reaching out his hand to shake the father's hand. And after the father shot him, he drove off because he said he feared for his life. He saw like a semi-automatic weapon that was never found at the scene of the crime. This happened back in 2014. And he also said he killed the young man because he feared for his daughter's life.
What's the daughter saying?
The article didn't even mention what the daughter was saying. And that may explain kind of why, since 2014, there's been 3 trials, and they've all resulted in a mistrial. And I'm thinking, this is the craziest shit. I don't understand how he's not in jail right now. Well, I do. I know why he's not in jail.
The laws of this country and the people in it.
Yeah, and it's the same situation with Betty Shelby. But the fact that you saw a specific type of weapon, a semi-automatic weapon, you didn't say I saw a weapon. You said a semi-automatic weapon. That's why you shot. And then you shot and left the scene. Did
he leave his daughter?
His daughter wasn't with him. She wasn't in the car. His daughter was there feeding and giving water to the homeless. So she was walking away, and then she turned around. She heard the gunshots, turned around, saw her father driving off, her boyfriend on the ground. So if you're an officer, if you feared for your life or feared for the life of your daughter, and you've already shot and killed this man, I would think you would stay on the scene, explain yourself.
In a mistrial.
Because what?
The jury can't come to a decision.
I know, but why? Why do you think they can't come to a decision?
Because there's if it's not enough information.
That's only the information that this article said.
Right.
They may have more.
Okay, so if my guess is probably it's not enough information. If the aunt is the one testifying, on behalf of the young man, was she there?
I can't answer that.
If she wasn't there, she can't really testify. If the girl was walking away,
even without the aunt's testimony, the fact that the father is saying that he had a semi-automatic weapon that the police didn't find on the scene, then you can't say that
this is a cop.
Then that's thrown out. You can't say that he had a weapon that is not there.
It's not necessarily thrown out, though. It's not necessarily thrown out. This is a cop we talking about. They give him more privileges than regular everyday citizens.
Yeah.
So his testimony is not thrown out. And then the daughter, nobody knows what she's saying, if she's even speaking. And if she is speaking, she wasn't there. She was walking away.
But she was there. She was just walking away.
Right.
So she didn't see it.
Right. She didn't see anything. So and then I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why it might be, and then one conclusive reason we know why it might be.
Yeah, because all that other stuff you're talking about
might be
bullshit.
BS. The laws of the city, and then it might just
the fact that he's
fall
white
down to white cop,
black guy that he felt he didn't want to be with his daughter, his white daughter. He was trying to protect his princess, which we know how that goes. I just thought that was crazy.
Well, I got a flip side one for you.
Okay.
Shia LeBouf. I don't know.
He's been in the news here a lot. And usually it's surrounding some type of activism and alcoholism.
Well, we're not on activism this time. He got arrested in Savannah, Georgia for being intoxicated and inebriated.
Uh-huh.
Or I don't know if that's why he was arrested, but he was intoxicated when he got arrested.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells a black cop he is going to hell for arresting a white man.
So that was his version of privilege, exercising his embracing his privilege.
Of course, after he sobered up, he gives this apology. Oh, I'm so sorry, but his press. This is by the time his people got on this.
Yeah, he has been speaking out against police violence, against black people. So trying to stand with us a little bit. But the fact, so we see deep down how you really feel,
right? How you really, because what happens when you drunk.
Yeah, the truth come out.
Pretty honest.
A lot of times, yeah.
So yes, Mr. LeBouf told the black cop that he was going to hell for arresting a white man.
Yeah, this is
now. I mean, had he just told the cop you going to hell
for arresting me, period,
it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have seemed racial.
Yeah,
you'd just thought he was crazy,
and you could have insinuated the racism.
Yeah, but you couldn't prove it.
You couldn't prove it, but the fact that he said white, that's what he meant, and that's how he really feels.
That's how he feels.
So he on my list.
You got a list?
Oh, I always have a list. I got a list for everything.
Okay, so now you do realize, have you ever watched The Big Bang Theory?
I have seen episodes, yes.
Okay, Sheldon Cooper, the tall, lanky one.
Yeah.
He the smart one of the bunch.
The nerd.
Yeah, the biggest nerd.
The awkward one, yes.
Yeah, he's the one that he can't really he doesn't do well in social settings.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he has a list too. It's on the not the little floppy disks that used to be in your B drive in your computer that's no longer there. It's on the big square floppy disks.
Oh, 5 1/4 disc.
Yeah, it started
the actual floppy.
Yes, it started on that disc. He started that list when he was 5 years old.
Oh, and what does his list consist of?
It's just the people on his list, the people that made him mad. So you do know you sound like him.
Oh, I definitely almost every show I watch, I got a list of people that done me wrong, even though I'm not on the show.
The shows you watch, you mean the TV shows?
Yeah.
Or the news?
The TV shows. So
fake TV shows, scripted TV shows.
Yeah.
You got a list of people who did you wrong.
Yeah, and some of them need to die. I got a they need to die list too. And this goes for real life. This goes for TV shows.
You got a list for people in real life
that need to die. Yes.
Am I on it?
No. You've been good.
Oh, thank you.
You've been good. I just told you were special to somebody, didn't I?
No.
I did tell you at the top of the show that you were special. You said everybody's special to somebody. You remember that?
Uh-huh.
You sound like old granny. Everybody's special to somebody.
Anyway, I don't have a list. I don't keep a list. I don't harbor feelings like that.
Oh, no, I don't forget either.
No, once you make it to any type of way of getting on a list, I'm done with you, and I want you out of my life and want you out.
I'm done. If I got these people out of my life, I would be locked up. They would give me the needle. So
basically, if you get about your life, you're going to be violent.
Yes.
Okay, so that brings me to my poll question then. How many of you out there have a list and keep a list of people who have done you wrong?
I feel like everybody keeps a list.
Well,
you said you don't, but you said
I don't get to a point
before they make
the list.
They would probably make the list, but you just said you just get stop dealing with people. But sometimes you can't stop. Like if you work with this person, you can't stop dealing with them, but you can add them to your list. I can, instead of going postal and doing what the UPS driver or UPS worker did a couple weeks ago and start shooting up folk. You don't want to get to that point. Just write them on your list.
Okay, and what do you do with the list?
They don't ask no questions. They just on the list.
They just on the list.
Yeah, I ain't gonna incriminate myself. I ain't stupid.
Okay, then if you have a list, are you willing to incriminate yourself and tell us what you're going to do with these people on this list?
Don't get yourselves in trouble, because remember this is still social media, YouTube. The comment section is public. Do not incriminate yourself. Don't fall for the okie doke. Novelty right now that's working for the feds, and she's trying to get y'all. She's trying to get y'all to tell on yourself.
I just want to know what you would do with a list. I mean, what? Maybe
it gives you comfort.
Just giving yourself a way to kind of write your feelings, get your feelings out.
Possibly.
So all you write is their name.
Yeah, and what they did.
Oh, see, no, I need way
it's not
more
like
than a list.
Actual list. It's internal, and I don't forget. Like, you do something on the television show, I remember what you did, and then because the show is still going, you have a chance to redeem yourself. And I will remove you from the list.
Let's forget about these fake people. Let's talk about the real ones.
Oh, if you on the list in real life, ain't no erasing.
But I guess I'm not keeping a list. I might cuss you out. Not personally. I might cuss you out verbally walking through my house. You done pissed me off, hit a punching bag a few times. But I get that out of my system and then get you out of my life, and I'm good.
Yeah. But you know that you and I are different.
Oh, yes.
You know, I can
different.
hold a grudge.
I don't forget. I ain't got time for holding a grudge.
I understand.
That takes too much time, too much energy, too much.
It don't take me nothing. It don't take me time. It don't take me energy, because it allows me to remember how to, I guess, approach you.
Yeah, I ain't got time for that.
And so you ready to be all nice and forget about? No, I ain't got time.
See, that's when I just don't deal with you no more. But okay, please, ladies and gentlemen, tell me about your list. And then also, I want to know, is there some fake people on your list, like Mike B's?
Oh, I got every show I watch. I got a kill list. Every show. And the people that know me and watch my recaps, they know I got a kill list because they keeping one too, and they say they even recommend people for the list. They like, Mike, we need to add so and so to the list.
Good God!
Hey, it's all good. It's all in fun at times, but some people, hey, they on the list for real. Anyway,
on that note, thanks for listening. Have a good week and good night.
Peace.